Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Flipped Collaborate for assignment 3. We've just got a couple of more things that might be useful to you, so we're just going to go through them now. So we've talked about a case study and why we're using a case study. We have another question that often comes up, so asking who submits. Does only one team member submit the team parts? The answer is that every student will submit all parts. So when submitting, all members will submit a single document via their own Canvas login. So what will you have there? You'll have part 1, which will be identical to your team because you completed it with them. Part 2 is your individual research and the theory that you've looked into. Part 3 will be identical to your team. Part 4 will be individual, your scenario. So you're going to rewrite your scenario. Part 5 is your reflection, your reference list, and your appendices. For your reference list, you'll just have one single reference list, and you'll pop it at the end there. And just after, you'll do your appendix. So remember that it could be identical to your teammates. It might be individual to you. You present the evidence that best presents your collaboration with your team. Another question that often comes up is, do we have to use our team discussion set up just for our little team? So start there. So you can chat outside your team thread. Absolutely, there are so many ways to collaborate. It doesn't matter how you do it, you just need to make sure that you collate evidence of it. So start in our thread that we've created for you. You go to Facebook, WhatsApp, email. You might pop into the Collaborate sessions. So just know that the ELAs will not be checking on your team thread when they grade your assignment. That's why it's really important that you provide that evidence in your step 6. You're going to use headings. You're going to actually follow a template that we have. What's in the word count? Lots and lots of different questions there. I'm going to pop over here. So we've got a template. So this is very simple, but it's an example of how you can set it out, and everyone will be using that to make it nice and streamlined for you. Another question is, what might your appendix look like? So this is a really good snapshot that a student has presented for their assignment. So you can see there's a heading, examples of collaboration. So for this team, what they did was they agreed on completion date for each part. So they worked out together their schedules and how they work best, and they had agreed upon times for when they'd complete each section. They actually decided to jump into Collaborate room to talk live. So you can see that they had a session for part 1 and they had a session for part 3, and then they've taken some screenshots. So this is just again showing evidence of the collaboration, and you can see that there's a number of different ways that they communicated. It doesn't matter how you communicate, we just need to see it. So that's going to be part of your criteria 1 grading. So that's examples of collaboration. We've got our rubric here, again talking about the evidence, and you're going to cite research throughout, so that's a little slide to help you with that. How to use appendices. Over here, I've created a tip sheet. We don't have an exemplar this time round, so what we do have is a tip sheet. So I've actually clicked on our timeline. Let's start with our tip sheet. So I've created this tip sheet and I've color coordinated it. So this has been created using our assignment details, the criteria and the descriptors. And this is an example of how you might approach the assignment. There's a number of different ways of doing it. Sometimes it's helpful to see one way, just to know that you're moving in the right direction. So we look at the section of the assignment, who completes it and how. So we know in week 8, we're going to complete discussion 8.5 alongside our team. This is what we're going to cover. And I've just given you some language that might help you start in the right direction. So you can have a look there for inspiration. So we go through all the steps. So we know step 1 is team, step 2 is individual. We come back to a team task for step 3. So have a little look through there, and you might find that it helps you. And again, the details of the collaboration evidence are there. We're also going to pop over to a timeline. So I've written here the ELA team have taken on board all the advice from previous students in previous iterations, and we've made a plan to help you step through this team task. So you've got these parts that you have to go through, but that's no good unless you're doing it alongside your teammates. So here's an example of what might work for your team. So in week 7, we asked you to make contact with your team. In week 8, this is where we begin our working on our assignment. So I've popped here that we have a timeline and we have an actual deadline. So this is set within our unit. So we need, by the end of week 8, we need all team members to have made contact. So I've written here, please alert your ELA if no team members have responded to you by 5 p.m. Sunday of week 8, which is January 10th. If you have team members missing, but have at least one teammate, please let your ELA know and continue as a pair. So it might be that you have been allocated into a group of 3 or 4 students, and out of your 4, maybe a couple of them you haven't heard from, but you've got one buddy in there. Perfect. We just need evidence of you collaborating with one person, and that will be great. So please don't be concerned if you don't have a full house. You just need one friend. So just remember that we have that deadline in week 8, Sunday of week 8, and then I've moved through here, and I've popped Wednesday there as a bit of a guideline because it's gives you enough time to do the readings on Monday, Tuesday, understand a little bit about what the week learning is, and then you can aim to have contributed by Wednesday. But that's something you might negotiate with your team. Some teams say, okay, everyone has to have contributed by 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, and then pop back a couple of times within the week to contribute. So that's something that you will negotiate with your team. Just remember, we do have that set deadline of Sunday of week 8 in order to proceed with your team members. Okay, so we've got our timeline, we've got our tip sheet, and lots of resources on working with teams. The other thing that I've popped here is I've created some Collaborate meeting rooms. So you saw in that appendix example that a student showed how they joined up with their teammates twice. So I've said here, if you meet up in a Collaborate room, you'll be able to upload and share your documents. So I've given everyone in those rooms presenter capabilities, and we recommend that you gather screenshots for evidence of your participation. So you can show us that you've taken the effort to actually meet up with your teammates. And I've just created them here, so you can see here. There's 2 here, and this is getting a bit full, so there's a second page, and I've made 6 of them. So turn up with your teammates at an organized time. If it's full, just pop into another one. I'm sure that there'll be plenty of room there for you. And finally, over here we've got our resources. So same as before, how to reference and cite, some help that you might need with your referencing, if you're having trouble uploading or anything like that. So just remember that there's lots to get into here. I really recommend you having a good crack at week 8, so discussion 8.5. Really look at all the clues in the scenario. Remember that we need to meet the needs of everyone in the scenario. So who are the stakeholders there? It might not just be the students. It might also be the teacher. Are there families involved that you need to think about? So just remember that we're considering all stakeholders as a part of our assignment and our analysis. And be sure to turn up to our brainstorm sessions. Of course, your ELAs are always on your Q&A threads, so you can head to that. And all the best for A3, everyone.